Alright guys, welcome back to day 18 of my vlogs. Today I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of what I did yesterday, in the sense of I'm gonna talk about something like about Chrissy that that unlike yesterday didn't really bother me. So the one thing that the two of us never really talked about, ironically, which obviously definitely came back to bite us in the end, was, our families. I was still like a little hesitant to show her, to help her meet my family, I should say. But the weird thing was that the difference was that, my family was here. If I wanted to introduce her to them, I could have done that whenever. But with Chrissy, her parents, pretty much all of her relatives weren't, living here. And so, in that regard, she never really talked too much about them to me, at least. And I guess I didn't really mind at first. I was like, that's something that we'll worry about down the road if we need to. But so I want to say it happened towards like the end of 2009 again. Like as we were hanging out, as we were hitting, I guess you could say, the stride of our relationship. Like, it was already starting to turn into a just, it wasn't really new anymore. I went over to her apartment, and I guess I never really started thinking about it, but I started looking around, and I was like thinking about how, like, Chrissy had a lot of stuff in her apartment, in her bedroom, and in whatever places she had stuff in, around the apartment that wasn't Rios's. But not trying to sound off as like someone like me, like, some kind of asshole, I guess, or something, but I started looking at the stuff that she had, and I was like, I was wondering how in the heck she can afford that kind of stuff, because without giving out like what she did for a living, it wasn't really something that that made her really well off. That was something decent. She wasn't like struggling for money or anything, but she wasn't exactly like a millionaire or anything. So I think like I basically just bluntly asked her one time. After that, I was just like, I just asked her, like, how do you afford these things? And so first she just goes into, she's like, I was like, I don't mean to like come off like as mean or anything. I'm just asking if you don't want to say anything. She's like, no, it's fine. But she tells me the story of she tells me like how, like, once in a while, not every month or anything, but once in a while she'll get, I guess it's kind of like a pseudo adult allowance. Her parents would, send her money, and I was like, I guess I didn't really understand that yet. I was like, but how much? Like, how much are they giving you? I'm like, I don't. These. I still couldn't put two and two together. And then that's when she finally told me. She was like, she told me that her parents were rich, and I was like, oh, okay. And then she just apologized for keeping that from me, and I was like, I really didn't think much of it at first. I was like, I don't understand why this had to be a secret. Why you couldn't just tell me? And she was like, she basically told me, she was like, look, I wanted you to, I guess you could say, I know it sounds quite kind of cliche, and it did when she told me, but she said she wanted me to like her for her and not for her status. And I was like, but you don't live at home anymore. You live pretty, you live pretty much by yourself. Oh, I mean, she doesn't live by herself, but you know what I mean. Like, she's well off by herself. And I was like, I don't understand why, it wasn't really that big of a deal to me. And then she's like, well, I mean, I just didn't want you to worry, or not to worry, but I guess she was just like, she just wanted to hold that close to the vest, and I was like, alright, fine, whatever. And it's funny, like, after that, I started thinking about everything, like, her apartment was not exactly in a crazy area, but it wasn't exactly in a bad area. It was a pretty decent area that they lived in. Then I started thinking about that she drove a really nice car. Then I started putting two and two together. I started to understand that. I was like, yeah, she is definitely pretty well off. Coming from a decently well off family myself, I mean, I can already tell you that we were not as rich as her parents were, but I really didn't mind that she wanted to keep that from me, because I guess, I tried to think about it like in her shoes, that, if you do have, like, if you are very well off, that, there's sometimes where you just don't want to just throw around money and be my friend. And I understand that. I was like, okay, she obviously wanted someone that would be there through thick and thin, and not just be there because she was rich. Which I always like to use the whole, I believe it was like what, the Cosby Show, where, she wasn't rich, it was her parents, but you know what I mean, like, and, yeah, I mean, in the end, it really didn't bother me, and even, going down the road before our relationship ended, I mean, it never really was a bother for me. It never really changed too much, like, just because I knew that she had more money than I thought. I mean, it's not like every time we went on a date I was gonna tell her to pick up the check, even though I was still unemployed. I still was like, I still tried to do what I could. If she wanted to reach for the check, then she could have, but it wasn't as big of a deal, ironically, as the whole Facebook thing that I talked about yesterday, which sounds weird, but I don't know. I think that's about everything I'm going to talk about today. My voice feels kind of weird, so I'm just going to stop here, and I'll probably sound not that great either tomorrow, but tomorrow I'm going to get into finally into something that actually happened and not just something about me or her anymore. But yeah, I hope that you liked today's story. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you know anyone that would, if you know anyone that might like it, definitely give it a share. And yeah, thank you for watching again, and until next time, see ya.